Number 10. Road Rage. Police charged 18-year-old Jaden Michael Ardoin with first-degree murder for shooting Wade Edward Smith and added another charge of attempted first-degree murder for injuring James Preston Allen Vaughn. This happened around 7:30 p.m. on February 15th this year, 2022. Authorities were called to the 9000 block of the Louisiana Interstate 105 in Melville, Louisiana, after people reported gunshots being fired. They also noticed the authorities of a blazing vehicle near the gunshots. The incident occurred near a gas station where Smith and Vaughn were regular customers. The duo occasionally tried to hit on Ardoin's girlfriend, who worked at the gas station. The girlfriend asked Smith and Vaughn to back off and stop flirting because she knew that boyfriend Ardoin was reeling with jealousy. A few minutes later, Ardoin entered the gas station with another person and was visibly upset at seeing Smith and Vaughn. The same evening, while Smith and Vaughn were cruising down the interstate, Ardoin wasted no time in chasing after them with a gun. One bullet caught Smith, who was driving the car, in the back. Vaughn tried to take control of the vehicle from the passenger seat, but lost control and rammed into a nearby tree. The car instantly went up in flames. An unknown man helped Vaughn out, but they already shot and burned Smith to death. They have not identified or charged the person helping Ardoin. Police expect more arrests. While the investigation is underway, they're holding Ardoin behind bars without bond. Number 9. Rekindled relationship. On August 23, 2013, in Bakersfield, California, police charged Leslie Janaea Chance with murder. An elementary school principal shot her husband of 17 years, Todd Chance, twice. This came as a shock for people who knew her, as she worked for the school district for 16 years. Leslie was first arrested because authorities suspected she was involved in the murder after the shooting, but they soon released her. 3 years later, in 2016, they arrested her again and charged her with first-degree murder. According to the county sheriff's office, the investigation was extensive, as they looked at every angle and reviewed the documents. They even received help from the FBI. According to court documents, Chance had killed her husband for financial gain, but when they went to trial, they found Chance was flirting with his ex-fiancée. The prosecution argued that Chance had killed Todd because he had an affair with his ex-fiancée, and also for financial gain. The jury in January 2020 found Chance guilty of killing her husband, but not for financial gain. The prosecutors revealed Todd and his ex-fiancée Carrie Williams' flirty texts. Todd had asked Carrie for a good pic, and he had received nude photos of her. Chance and Williams had also been poking fun at Leslie. Williams also testified during the trial and spoke about her husband's rekindled relationship. This was all the evidence needed to arrest Leslie Chance, who they sentenced to jail for 50 years. Judge Bremer stated, "No one has won, but justice has been served." Number 8. Improper imposter. On April 18, 2020, they charged Tanju Akar, a 32-year-old man in Mughal province, Turkey, with murdering his 25-year-old wife, Selvan Akar. The couple were married for many years and had 2 children, but they weren't happy. Tanju was a wife beater. After many years of putting up with his abuse, Selvan finally found the courage to apply for a divorce. The husband disagreed and threw a fit of rage. On December 8, 2020, after months of planning, Tanju stabbed his wife. The knife went straight through her heart and killed Selvan on the spot. Upon confrontation, the perpetrator admitted to the murder and claimed that his wife Selvan had been having an affair. After his arrest, Tanju bragged about the various conspiracies he had concocted to fool the police. The evidence that his wife Selvan was having an affair was all made up by Tanju, which reveals that he intended to kill his wife. He had looked on the net for different ways to kill his wife and cover up the crime. Through a search, he found out that they consider a scammer an essential mitigating factor under Turkish law. Tanju had planned the crime so well that he created fake accounts and sent love messages to his wife, posing as someone else. For his devious plan and execution, Tanju faced the highest penalty charge under the country's legal framework, a life sentence. Number 7. Deadly doubt. Family members found Belinda Hernandez, a 53-year-old woman, dead in her home in Pearland, Texas. Family members immediately informed the authorities upon finding her lifeless body. The cops issued an arrest warrant for her 56-year-old husband, Houston Police Sergeant Hilario Hernandez. The couple's daughter revealed in court that she, her husband, and her mother were drinking at her parents' place. Her dad, Hilario, suspected Belinda to be fooling around with a male friend, which had set him off beyond measure. Later that night, when the couple's daughter texted her mom to inform her that she had reached home safely, she did not receive any reply. Her mother was not someone who would ignore any calls or messages. The worried daughter persistently attempted to call her mom when finally her dad received the call. He yelled out that his wife was fine and quickly hung up. This did not convince the daughter, so she and her husband returned to her parents' home, where they found Belinda lying face down in the kitchen with multiple gunshot wounds. Hours later, they busted Hilario Hernandez about 100 miles north of the Mexican border at a Kingsville hotel. A Houston police spokeswoman confirmed Hernandez was a member of the force. The police are looking for surveillance footage to establish more details of the case, Pearland police spokesman Jason Wells told the Chronicle. Number 6. Driven by jealousy. In Flatbush, Brooklyn, Kadeem Wilkinson stabbed 26-year-old Dwight Braithwaite after a fight inside a fried chicken restaurant in the winter of 2013. According to prosecutors, Kadeem stabbed Braithwaite, a random customer at the restaurant, because he was flirting with his girlfriend while dining at the restaurant. Wilkinson could spend up to 25 years behind bars for the alleged crime, triggered by uncontrolled passion. The defendant, his girlfriend, and a stranger, Dwight Braithwaite, were dining at a Chicken Express at 1341 Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, when things suddenly took a wrong turn. After leaving the restaurant, Wilkinson confronted Braithwaite for getting a bit too frisky with his girlfriend a few moments earlier. The argument soon escalated into a brawl just outside the restaurant. Wilkinson broke off from the argument, ran home to grab a knife, returned, and stabbed the victim in his back at around 12:45 a.m. Surveillance video captured when Wilkinson darted in and out of his house on that fateful night. Street cameras recorded the moment he stabbed Braithwaite, who was walking home too. The girlfriend in question testified against Wilkinson and confirmed that he had admitted to stabbing Braithwaite out of jealousy. Number 5. Killer Duo. A 42-year-old Mesa man stabbed another man to death for allegedly flirting with his girlfriend. Court documents say Jesse Dakins attacked 34-year-old Joseph Treviso after Treviso got a bit too comfortable with Dakins' girlfriend, 34-year-old Tiffany Warren. Dakins fatally stabbed Treviso in the living room of Warren's Mesa apartment. Court records reveal Treviso had mental disabilities, and Dakins was his caretaker. After the dreadful deed, Dakins wrapped Treviso in a butterfly print shower curtain and dragged his body out to Warren's car. Dakins and Warren tidied up the place and swept the floors clean before driving off to Star Valley near Payson, where they got rid of the body. The story, however, doesn't end there. The couple's car broke down on the way back, and so they stole a van from Dakins' ex-employer. They then fled for Wisconsin, where Dakins once lived. Somewhere near the state border, the Winslow police pulled them over and arrested them on suspicion of vehicle theft. Out of fear, Warren confessed to all the events that led to the vehicle theft. Dakins later led the police deep into the forest, where they had hidden Treviso's body. Police said the killer duo admitted to being under the influence of meth when executing the brutal murder. They charged Warren and Dakins with first-degree murder, abuse of a vulnerable adult, theft of means of transportation, and tampering with evidence. Number 4. The Revenge. A simple flirtation on a bus led to cold-blooded murder in Brooklyn. Michael Gary, a Supreme Court judge, brought down a life sentence on Lawrence Jones for the killing of an 18-year-old Isaiah Roberts. They tricked the teen into going to a location in Brooklyn's Bed-Stuy section out of revenge for flirting with Jones's wife. The woman's husband, Jones, and Roberts, an immigrant eager to become an architect, got into an argument. When Jones pulled a gun on Roberts, he desperately tried to run away. Out of the 5 rounds shot at Roberts, 1 caught him in his back. A 2012 report claims he hid the murder weapon in the woman's purse. They found Roberts unconscious in Howard, and they later confirmed his death at Kings County Hospital. Jones, however, maintained a stance of being innocent throughout the trial, but that did not deter the judge from sentencing him to 20 years in prison. Number 3. Double trouble. According to prosecutors, on the night of June 6, 2016, David White's girlfriend was driving him and her cousin Fatima Mohammed home in her minivan. Mohammed jokingly teased White's girlfriend that he had been flirting with her. This absurd assertion threw White off guard, and he shot Mohammed in the head in a fit of rage. That was not all. He even threatened to kill his girlfriend if she tried to run away. The terrified girlfriend drove to White's sister's house, where White collected material to dispose of Muhammad's body. He threw a plastic bag over Muhammad's head and then shoved his body into a laundry bag. He then tried to conceal the crime by hiding the body in a closet and later cutting out the blood-stained floor mat of the minivan. He then drove to 60th Street and Aberdeen Avenue and hid Muhammad's body behind a vacant house. White's girlfriend wanted to stay as far away as possible from the demented man. A few days later, she confided in her sister and the Duluth police regarding the gruesome killing. It was then that they found Muhammad's body in the exact location disclosed by the girlfriend. At around the same time, someone dropped off a substantial piece of evidence at the police headquarters. The unnamed person turned over a .22 caliber handgun and a handwritten note. The note was an open letter written by White, confessing to his crime. The handwriting analysis and the blood samples taken from the minivan were all the proof needed to charge White with Muhammad's murder. A few months later, as the trial was in progress, West Fargo police were called to the home where White was then living with his girlfriend. It wasn't for any routine or because White missed his hearing. This time, he had shot his girlfriend in the face. According to prosecutors and North Dakota court records, they sentenced White to 20 years in prison for the double murder of his girlfriend and her cousin. Number 2. Pierced through the heart. In September 2019, 26-year-old Siobhan Collins Grant brutally attacked Shakira Losik in Chalk Farm, North London. The fatal stabbing comes after a series of rows the two women had since the day they met at the nightclub a few weeks back. She stabbed Losik with a knife right through her heart. The 22-year-old died as doctors performed an open-heart surgery right in the middle of the street. The cause of death was determined to be because of cardiorespiratory failure resulting from blood loss. A whiff of jealousy sparked the entire ordeal. The Crown Prosecution Service revealed Losik was not happy with Grant's advances towards her girlfriend, Savannah. Days after the altercation at the nightclub, Grant was making pit stops at different friends' homes after her eviction from the hostel she stayed in. On September 8th, they asked her to leave the current house for talking behind the owner's back and sleeping with another friend's boyfriend. When she returned to Belmont Street to pick up her belongings with 4 of her friends, she found Losik waiting with a bunch of her friends, and some of them had knives. Alarmed and without a moment's notice, Grant lunged towards Losik with a knife of her own, screamed out her name, and drove it into the unsuspecting woman's chest. Grant fled the scene, but they heard her say, "What have I done?" before she tried to dispose of the murder weapon in a nearby canal. Grant pleaded guilty on the 4th day of her trial, and they sentenced her with a jail term of 8 years. Number 1. The Last Betrayal. A 23-year-old was distressed so much that she took the extreme steps months after breaking up with her boyfriend. A chance meeting at the University of Huddersfield had almost instantly sparked a romance between the two. A few months in, Emily Elliott of Huddersfield, in February 2020, discovered that her boyfriend, Shay Doyle, was cheating on her. Elliott realized she was being played, and that Doyle had two-timed her with another woman on Facebook. The pair had even blocked each other on all social media platforms. That's when the broken woman couldn't stand the betrayal and tried taking her life. She recovered and gave the relationship another chance. By now, the boyfriend had moved to Wilmslow. Doyle believed things were now sorted. He said, "Things are going well. We talked about having children together." Although everything looked fine from the outside, we could not deny that the couple had a turbulent relationship. Several months after the initial confrontation, Doyle found Emily dead at her residence. Here's how things played out. On June 27, 2020, Doyle was worried when Emily did not respond to his calls or messages. He tried reaching out to her best friend, Kimberly Knight, who said she had received some weird messages from Emily. Doyle immediately sensed something fishy and boarded the train to Huddersfield. Once there, he took a cab to Emily's home. A visibly emotional Doyle said at the court hearing, "I went upstairs, and Emily's bedroom door was closed. He opened the door to find Emily unconscious. He immediately dialed the emergency services and attempted to perform CPR until the paramedics arrived. But Emily was long gone." At the hearing, based on Emily's long story of mental health issues, previous attempts at overdosing, and heavy drinking, they concluded that she had committed suicide, and there was no foul play involved. Would you rather let your spouse date your best friend or your arch enemy? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed our video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.